Hi, Sally Ann here. If you've ever found yourself asking, why do I keep doing this? I know what to do, I know what healthy eating is, but I just can't stick to it. You're not alone. In fact, many of the women that I work with come to me feeling exactly the same way. And they're frustrated, they're confused, and often believe that they're somehow sabotaging themselves when it comes to food. But today I want to gently challenge that idea because what if you're not sabotaging at all? What if what looks like sabotage is actually a pattern of eating that you haven't fully understood yet? In this episode, I'm not going to give you another plan or more rules or tell you what to eat. Instead, I'll be sharing a different way of looking at what's going on, a way that moves away from fixing and towards understanding. Because when we begin to understand our patterns with food and we don't judge them, we open the door to change that actually lasts. We cannot find the right solution if we don't truly understand what the problem is. So, if you've been stuck in a cycle of starting over again and wondering if you'll ever be able to stick to healthy eating, then this episode is for you. The problem with self-sabotage, it implies you are the problem, that you lack willpower or you're doing something wrong. By believing this, you're actually reinforcing that image of yourself as a woman who cannot stick to healthy eating. After working as a dietitian for over 30 years, I've never seen a client truly sabotaging themselves. What I have seen is women committed to choosing healthier foods, truly wanting to be healthier. And the only reason that they haven't been able to sustain healthier eating is that they haven't truly or fully understood what their problem was. Your eating habits really aren't a curse. There's something to celebrate because within them, they hold the key to the transformation that you want with food, your body, and health. What looks like sabotage is often a pattern that makes sense when you understand it. Now, I realize that you might think self sabotage is occurring when you eat well all day, but then find yourself overeating at night. Or you start with a really strong commitment and intention to eat well on Monday, but by Thursday, you've lost your momentum, you've lost your way. You tell yourself, I'm going to be good, and then all of a sudden you feel out of control. However, what if that late night eating was a form of unmet hunger? Maybe you're physically hungry. Maybe you're experiencing emotional distress, or you are under mental stress. Perhaps you're losing momentum by the middle of the week or by Thursday because you've set yourself too high expectations. They're just unrealistic. Or maybe you've got stuck in that all or nothing way of thinking and you decided to have a piece of cake and then thought you'd blown it and may as well give up. Maybe that feeling of being out of control is in response to the restriction or pressure that you're putting on yourself. A client of mine who said she ate perfectly during the day, but then in the evening found herself overeating, discovered that it wasn't a lack of control, but she believed that she was deserving of food at the end of the day. Before she reflected, she believed her problem was that she had lost willpower by the end of the day, and she was actually becoming concerned that she was developing a binge eating habit. But what was actually going on underneath? Food was a source of reward and comfort for her. And when we traced back through her life, we saw that food had always been considered a powerful reward. The other thing that was happening with the nighttime eating, she was eating in front of the TV and totally tuned out of the sensory experience of eating. She wasn't tasting the food. She wasn't really enjoying the food. And she certainly wasn't tapping into those satiety or fullness cues. So she could then understand why she was eating to a state that was no longer physically comfortable. This pattern of on and off healthy eating occurs because you identify a problem such as snacking at night and you apply a solution. And that is usually taking control in some way. So you restrict the food, you remove the snack foods from the house so they're no longer tempting, and you experience some short-term success. But before you know it, something has broken with that willpower, as you think it is. And again, the snacking starts at night. Each restart towards healthy eating is based on the same belief about the problem. And the belief that are most common, the ones that I hear from my clients, are I just need more discipline. I need to cut out certain foods. I need to try harder. But if we're not seeing the full picture of our eating habits, we cannot find the right solution. And if restriction had been the right solution, it would have worked already. So restriction focuses on food rules. It ignores why you have your eating habits in the first place, and it can only be sustained for the very short term. When we start reflecting on our eating habits, we get to understand our patterns of eating. We look at the whole picture, and this is what leads to sustainable change. Some of the key reflective questions that I encourage my clients to answer are: what have I tried before that didn't last? What did I believe the problem was at the time? What might I be missing? Am I open to a different way of seeing what's going on? These are not questions that you'll answer quickly. They require some space, some time, some honesty, some compassion, and often guidance from an experienced healthcare practitioner or health coach. Another client of mine who believed she lacked willpower discovered stress was actually triggering her afternoon mindless snacking on chocolate. What shifted when she became curious rather than staying critical of herself was that her work deadlines were a source of stress. Eating chocolate was just a short-term distraction from her work. After eating chocolate, she also realized that she was having what she called energy crashes. And these energy crashes were actually compounding the problem. They were increasing her stress because after eating chocolate, her brain was a little bit foggy. She didn't have that much energy, and it truly was like the stress was mounting. And this just didn't finish at the end of the workday. She realized that this stress was triggering more stress-related or emotional eating in the evening at home. This was a really powerful insight for her. And when she realized the chocolate wasn't really helping her at all, it was quite easy to stop. And then we could start exploring other strategies to help her manage her stress. I think it's really important to understand that there is no one solution for all of us. There is no one way to actually set up healthy eating that lasts, because we're all individuals and our life stage really matters as well. And for women in their 40s, we've got hormonal changes happening. There's lots of stuff happening in our lifestyle. We could be working, we could be looking after children, we could be looking after grandkids, we could even be starting to look after our aging parents. So this, alongside with any emotional drivers for eating, means that your insights to your eating are really important. That's why earlier I said that being able to observe your eating habits is such a gift. It really is something to celebrate, because within your personal way of eating, you will find the solutions very personal solutions to your eating habits. And that's what will start the transformation to being able to maintain healthier eating long term. And this is why Eating for You is not about telling women what to do. It's about helping them see clearly what's already there and finding the right solution for them. So let's take a look at your new food identity. You're not someone who self-sabotages. You're someone whose patterns haven't fully been understood yet. So this week, I encourage you to, instead of fixing your eating, just try to notice it. Get curious about what's really going on. If you'd like some support to better understand what's happening with your eating, then coaching can really help. You're most welcome to book in a free mindful eating strategy call with me, and we can discuss the challenges that you're facing with eating and map out a plan. And if I'm not the right person to help you, I will do my best to refer you on to someone who can. If this is of interest to you, then the link to my calendar has been provided in the show notes. If you've enjoyed this episode, then please let me know and share the link with a friend who can also benefit. Next week, I'm going to be taking a closer look to what could be driving your eating when you're not physically hungry. Wishing you health and happiness and a mindful day ahead.